G'day folks, Jason, Nick here on the other farm. Nick's just gone to work, so you've got to put up with me today, guys. We've actually got Greg with us today, guys. He's contacted me about some timeless fencing, and he's seen the video on site about an affordable timeless fencing system in Australia now, which I've got set up here on the farm. So we didn't realise at the time when I first contacted Greg, or Greg contacted me, we thought we were miles apart, but he's only like 20 or 30 kilometres away. So I said to Greg, I said, mate, you might as well pop over and have a look at the system yourself. And you know, he hasn't moved mob grazed or hasn't moved cattle before, so what I'm going to do today, guys, is actually have Greg set the system up with the poly braid and the step-ins himself, so he can actually get a hands-on feel of what it's like to set this system up. And I show him a few tricks that we didn't know about and we had to learn the hard way. So I'll just hand over to Greg and he can talk about a bit of background, where he actually from. Actually, we won't say where he's from. We don't want people rocking up his property, but yeah, we'll just say he's 30 kilometres from here. I'll just say a bit of farming background, what Greg actually does and what animals he has, and then we'll go through, guys, and we'll set the cell up, and we'll have a bit of a walkthrough on the graze they had last night. I'll show them what they went into, and then we'll show them what they've done and what they've left behind, and then I'll get Greg to move them through so he can have a feel on what it's like and how easy it is. Or well, hope it's going to be easy. I hope today is not one of those days where they want to play up. So, right, Greg, whereabouts have you got any? We were just saying before about the animals. You've been farming for?
Oh, well, on a hobby basis for 20 odd years, really, but more intensively in the last 3 years since I've been retired. So.
Yep. And you're saying you only got the one cow at the moment.
Just the one little potty calf at the moment.
Yep.
I've got 20 or 30 chooks that are sort of the mainstay of my operation in regard to what I do for my own food production, and helping in the regenerative side that improves the soil. Yep. So I've seen the benefits from that.
So your chooks, you haven't got them cooped up into a pen and throw scraps over and it's all bare dirt and there's...
No, definitely not. No, I have the electrified netting.
I
move around every few days. I don't need to electrify it at my place, but the system works really well, and I'm sure moving them it would be similar to the cows. I set up the new fence beside it and open it up and they just walk through. They know the drill. There's no chasing them around the paddock or anything. It works really well. So.
Yeah, and you've noticed a difference in where you've had them for that time.
Oh, particularly with this moisture we've had lately, it's tremendous. The fertility increase. I've never seen the grass grow anywhere near as well with the amount of green that it's had. So
wow,
I can definitely see how much of an improvement it's had moving these chooks every few days, moving around on the different areas. So get around the whole place. Myself
and Nicole are going to get some egg layers and a few broilers just to trial on. We want to go in bigger production on the other farm, so we're just going to do it here. A lot of videos I've seen, they've come through and they say chooks don't like the grass long, and they've either slashed it down to a couple of 100 mil or even less. You were saying before that you got no issues with the height of your grass.
No, not at all. I don't even go around the perimeter where you try and set the fence up and mow it, because it's too difficult to calculate. So I move them onto similar height grass at home at the moment. And after 3 days, a fair percentage of that's lying flat on the ground. Wow. They pick all the seed heads off and get plenty of food and nutrition from that. Lay the rest down, and then 3 or 4 days time I'll progress the cell and move them into that.
Wow. And how long would recovery before you actually got around your area and back over the same area?
Probably 2 months. I've got enough area. The netting doesn't take up a huge area, 20 by 10 or something like that. That's probably not right, but it's a relatively small area, so I've got a fair bit of ground. I can move them around in under my fruit trees and that sort of thing as well. So you can see how well that works.
Yeah, I always thought you had to mow it, but like you're saying, if they're laying it down, like you said, it's beneficial to get that armour down the soil. Like, I would sooner have them lay it down. If they're not heavy enough to break that sap cycle, like you said, the sun will stand it up again. So what they have in you is not going to waste.
Yeah,
and what has laid down is adding that carbon on the ground.
Absolutely, armouring that soil.
Yeah, that's armouring the soil. Like I say, people, that's what I say all the time. Armouring the soil is the best thing you can do for your property.
Absolutely.
Like I said, the amount of moisture it will hold by just a little bit of armour, like I said, in the long term, You've seen the videos on the other farm where I've got that erosion issue, and that's due to compaction and continual grazing. There's absolutely no armour, and the water just picks up velocity, especially if it's undulating, and just pulls that soil off, and either sends it your neighbouring property or down the creek. So what we'll do, guys, is we might set up these poly braid and the step-ins now. Well, I'll get Greg to have a go at it, and then I'll go through a few things with Greg and show you guys a simple few tricks that we didn't know that we learnt, and save you guys going through the same issue. So without further ado, we'll I know the girls are hanging to get moved, so we'll start setting them up, guys, and we'll get into it. Righto folks, we're in the paddock now. Before we do this move, I'll just go in with Greg and we'll do a bit of a pasture walk. I'll show you they've been in here, I'll put them in here at 5 o'clock. So just over 12 hours now, 12, 13 hours. And as you can see, all this was seeded Rhodes grass. So I knew it was going to come to seed, guys, because like I mentioned, we had these girls out and they got serviced by the bull. So they've been out there 60 days. I generally bring them back within 35 to 45 days. So I knew it was going to come to seed, and being Rhodes grass, it's the first of the pastures which will seed. So that's only relatively fresh out there. So I know they're going to leave probably 30% of that, but it's not going to worry me because it's going to take 6 odd months. They'll walk over different areas, then they'll compact it down like they have here, guys. So that there is exactly what it was in here. So that O'Brien step-in is at 42 inches, and that's still another probably 1.5 foot, 2 foot higher than that. And this is what they've done overnight. So they've compacted down, oh, what do you reckon, Greg? It'd have to be 70%.
Yeah, fair bit of it.
70% is packed down on the armour like I talk about, guys. A lot of it is thatch, you know, like I said, and that's adding to that litter bank I keep saying about, guys. That's the most important thing you can do, is get this to the ground. And like I said, I'll dig through there. Yeah, and there's, you know, there's your litter bank there. It's still grass, can't feel the dirt. It's not a waste, guys. It's regenerative, and the recovery gets faster and faster the more armour you get laid down the ground. I was just showing Greg before, I can stand here and count paddies. We counted like a dozen paddies within a 3 metre area. So you've got that paddy adding that nutrient cycle back into the ground, but you've also got the urine as well, guys. And that's what helps the recovery in this grass and feed those microbes to bring this grass back. So there's an area over here which they didn't touch. So that area there they've walked through. They have chewed the stem off, but obviously they left the seed. So over time they'll come back and trample that. When I first started down this path, you know, that did worry me for the first 4 months. I thought, you know what, that's going to die off, the energy's going to drain out, and I'm really contemplating coming out with a whippersnipper and hacking that off to keep it in that vegetative state. But I was talking to Cole about it, and I said that's probably the worst thing I could have done. We're only on 2 acres here on the trial property. When you get like 74 acres and we're going to get more property, I don't think I want to spend weeks or so on ends following the cows with a whippersnipper taking down seeded pasture. So it's still on my mind now, guys, but the cows will trample it, so we're just going to leave it because we know they'll do it, and it's less work for us. And like I said, while it's standing, it's still adding that cover, that ground cover we need to hold the water. And like I said, it may take 6 months, but generally you try and move the cows through before it seeds. But I had no choice because they're out the other farm being serviced by the bull, so generally I'll move them through before it comes to this stage. Righto guys, we'll let Greg set this paddock up. So I was just talking to him, I must correct, Greg has done set wire out before, so it's not new to him. He hasn't done much, but yeah, he has set it out before. So the reel he's got in here, guys, is just the Jono and Jono reel I've got at the moment. So as you can see, guys, he's gone onto the hot wire there. That's the insulating handle. He could have gone onto that fence there. The previous video I mentioned, you can have the poly braid hooked to barbed wire, because you must have, the Australian regulation says you must have a sufficient standoff, which that handle is, because as I said, it's illegal to electrify barbed wire. So that's why that handle is for, in case you are hooking up to barbed wire. Look at the pasture we're going through here, guys. Look at, when you come to this section here, have a look how high it is against green.
Beautiful and thick, that's for sure.
I think Greg's going to put that reel above his head in a minute, because he won't be able to see where he's walking. Rightio, so here comes Greg. He's going to hook up on this hot wire here. So perfect, you know, he's got his three strands there, guys, so that'll actually electrify it.
That's probably a bit tight.
So you want to leave a little bit to put these step-ins in. There's a reason why when I go back to the other end. So just grab it out of there, Greg, out of that way, so that doesn't come up on you.
Oh,
Yep.
That should be more than enough.
Yep. So we only put 3 turns, guys, and what that does now is that handle's obviously galvanised, and it'll actually electrify that, run through the poly braid, and make that line hot.
Need a bit more, eh?
Nah, that's heaps, mate. Yeah, that's enough, yeah. So we'll go back now and start putting the step-ins in. Like I said, we use O'Brien step-ins here, guys. They go in easy. Like when I first started, this was hard ground to put in because it wasn't regenerative and it was a lot rock hard, but 2.5 years of doing this regenerative farming, the soil's getting softer and softer. I haven't had to grind the ends off these O'Briens yet, but I'm going to have to on the other farm because it's like cement out there. So when I first started in here, they were bending the end of those metal pickets. It was that hard. So I know I've got no choice out there but to grind them up to a point. Zoe's done this before, guys.
Not rocket science. Anyone can do it.
Yeah, we were just having a chat there before, and Greg also has done poultry, pigs before, and chickens. So he's actually, it's not his first time. He's done a fair bit of YouTubing and research on the regeneratives, so he's not new to it. So at this point here, guys, this is that trick I'll show you. When we first started doing ours, this is exactly what we would do. And we would have to go right back to the other end and readjust that reel, wind it in, wind it out 3 times around the handle to try and get the slack out of it. And I said to Nicole, I said, there's got to be an easy way of doing it. And now at this point, there is an easy way of doing it, because if you try and get the cattle in now, what you do is you come down here to get these cattle through. The moment you take that handle off and walk back to get the cows in, all that line drops behind you. And they were climbing over that fence, not coming through up here I wanted to.
Right.
So we'll show you how we overcome that, guys. So that last one Greg put in, what we do now is get Greg to do it. Just pull that one out, mate, and just spin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it actually spins up on that.
Too easy.
So give that a spin, and that takes the tension off. What you've also done, I'll show you when Greg puts that back in the ground. I'll actually get Greg to grab the handle now. I'll get Greg to grab the handle and then walk back, and I'll show you what it does. What you've done now is check out that line now, guys. It's above the ground. You've actually created that fence that the cows won't go through, and you force them to come through this gate, which is there. The reason why you want this, guys, is that is your opportunity to have a look, examine your cattle as they're coming through, not only for condition, for parasites, for ticks, for any hollow spots. You know, you get a good, if greys, flies, if they're just going through down there, you can't get a good look at them, guys. You can't assess your animals. So we're assessing ours. Every time we bring these cattle through, we assess them as they walk through this gate. So that's why this is beneficial, and also it saves time in constantly adjusting to get the tension on that fence. So right, we'll get Greg to move these cattle through now. Right, Greg, we'll get you to take the handle, mate, and we'll show you how easy it is.
Come on, girls. Come on, girls. Like me. Come on.
It's one of those days. Oh,
come on.
Oh, Rainy's got her ears picked up. Come on, girls.
Come on, the master has spoken. There you go.
Come on, girls.
Come on.
Come on, girls. She's a bit of a drinking competition at the moment. Of all days, I want to show the simplicity. Oh, here we go. Once you get one, guys, they generally all hop up. So Rainy's through first. Come on, girls. Come on, girls. There we go. Now we've started the process, and that's as easy as it is, guys. You don't need cattle, you don't need bikes, you don't need helicopters. You know, even if you've got mass areas of acreage, you may need a helicopter to get out there if you've got 5,000 or 6,000 acres. But once you're there and they get used to going through a gate, you don't need the dogs, guys. You will if you're introducing new livestock that aren't used to the grazing system. You may have to utilise them, but once they come used to it, they'll all just walk through, guys. Generally, they're waiting at the gate to go to that fresh salad bar on a daily basis. They are there, generally mooing waiting for me. I was a little bit late this afternoon because, or this morning I should say, me and Greg got up there and had a cup of tea, cup of coffee. We were just having a good old yarn. We're both passionate about regenerative farming, and it's one of those things. Nicole had to sort of shoo me out the house on the way to work, otherwise Greg would never have got away. I just got a tendency of talk a lot when it comes to regenerative farming, so...
Right, they've come out of an only 12-hour-old paddock, and here they are loving this new stuff straight up.
Yeah, Greg said it. This fresh salad bar down there, it's up to, that one's Rainy, it's up to Rainy's back, guys, and that is that seeded pasture. I'm not sure how much they're going to leave behind, guys, because it is seeded, but it's still got that fresh growth on the top. It's only its first drop in seed. The Rhodes grass will do up to 3 or 4 drops, and then you know it's pretty well deficient in energy and they won't touch it. So no, this grass here, you know, it's up to Greg's waist, if not chest, some of that seed in front of Greg there.
Unreal.
You know, that's fantastic. Up to the bottom of his beard, and that leaf matter is up to the top of his pants. So there's a lot of leaf matter in there, but it also has come to seed. These girls are over the back here. They're out of the seed. They know what's best. They're going to stuff before it seeds. They're just smashing that area there. Hello, Tip Tip. So like I said, they'll be in this paddock now till, a little bit late this afternoon, but we're moving about 5:30, so they'll probably get 10 hours in this paddock tonight before they go down there further. So like I said, and this is what I was talking about before, guys, it's a competition. When you start mob grazing the cattle in here, one cow will see another cow eating, and then they will go over thinking that that's got to be better pasture, and that what forces the animals to generally eat pasture they wouldn't eat. So they're eating weeds they generally wouldn't eat, because if they don't, someone else will. They won't do that if they're continually grazing, guys. They'll leave that weed and always search for palatable pasture. When you mob them up into a herd, it becomes a competition. Who can eat the most before there's none left? So, and like you said, adding that nutrient soil back into the ground as well.
Very content.
Even Bub's having a crack at it as well, so you've got a mouthful of grass. I find it strange, you get that much grass on the ground, they get that excited sometimes that they forget to chew what's in their mouth. They get that much of a mouthful, it starts falling out, and they just take another mouthful, they just drop it, think nothing of it. Now that wouldn't happen on a continual graze property. They're trying to keep every bit of grass in their mouth because they don't know where the next mouthful's coming from. But here, they're just happy to move on, grab some more, drop out of their mouth because they've got a selection. It's a smorgasbord here, and as I say, they're not moving to search for this spot, and that's why they're keeping on condition. They're not walking kilometres and kilometres a day to search for that grass. Now tell me these cows don't look content, guys. And that's what you want, quiet animals that don't move. We can stand here and talk, myself and Greg, and they will not move away. If you've got an animal that's going to prick its ears, start backing away from you, that's an animal you want to get rid of your herd, guys, because that trait will pass through to their calves. You've got to have quiet animals on your property to be able to do this rotational grazing.
Contact with them will help quiet them down too. So.
Exactly like Greg said, you know, it's like these were quiet, but not like they are now. Because they're so used to us being in the paddock, they're happy to come around. I'm sure they like the sound of the voice. I do that in my videos now, and they come closer and closer. And they are quiet, guys. It will happen. People say, how do you get them so quiet? Ours aren't that quiet. I bet you any money you haven't got them in a cell grazing system either, and you haven't been doing it for 2.5 years, guys. It does happen. They get used to contact on every day. It's like the dogs. We feed them. They know what time to feed. They're waiting for feed. These cows are in the same way, guys. They're waiting to be moved every day. At the gate, feed time, morning and night, on dusk. If I'm not there, they are mooing at me. They are pushing me. I can hear them from the house. The moment they see me, I cop it until I move them. So, righto guys, we've got that set up now. That was pretty basic. I'm going to go through now with Greg and have a look, go through the timeless basic setup I've got on the property. And that's what Greg's here for. So I thought while I had him here, I'd take the time and actually show him how easy it was to move the girls. They had a bit of a stumble there. They weren't moving. But yeah, the times when you want them to move straight through, they sort of have that stall and
camera shot.
Yes, but yeah, they got through. It only took a few minutes. It's not a lot of work, guys. It's not a lot of work when you get them used to it. You're always touching now. That's psychological.
Careful.
It's that high. It just gets in your head. Righto, folks. We've almost come to the end of the day. we've done that move with Greg, done a great job. So, you know, that gate's always a good trick to get that tension on that wire, guys. We've gone through the property now with Greg, showed him what the cattle have done. I've gone over the affordable fencing product from Timeless and the way I've set it up here. And I've given Greg some pointers for corners and that kind of stuff. So I won't go through all that, guys, because it's in that affordable Timeless fence YouTube video if you want to jump on and watch that. So Greg did bring up a good question. I covered it in the video about you don't have to go through these holes. Greg's saying, do you have to go through the holes? And I know I did mention in the videos you don't, you can twitch it, but I didn't give an example why. And Greg asked that question, I had to show him why, because you just can't say you can do something. There's a reason why you do it. And this is the perfect scenario here, guys. Greg made a good point. Why would you do it, or do you have to go through the holes? And I said you wouldn't. If you think your fence is going to be crushed or snapped, then you have to pull or even replace the wire. You've got to pull it out of all those holes and feed it back through. But not only that, this is a prime example why you want to do it. This is a gully here. The water flows in here in flood times. We've had timber, a lot of it's not flowing. A lot of it is just still water rising up and rising back. Not like the other farm where it's got a big current through. But I specifically haven't gone through the hole in here because I've twitched it like you would if you're putting on a steel post. Or the reason being, I can untwitch that now. I'll actually do it, guys, to show you. You untwitch it. It's only a couple of twitches you need in the opposite direction though, guys. Make sure, and that comes off. I can pull that post out the ground and take it up, so then any timber or debris coming through here wouldn't be catching up against this star picket, guys, this post. It would float under the wire or over the wire. This is a movable piece of wire. On here it's fixed. You would get stuff catching up on it. There'd be stuff against the post, and that's specifically why I've twitched this against this post. Righto, guys, on that note, I think we're gonna head off. I've had Greg out here way too long. I've chatted his ear off. He's been here a few hours now. I think he only anticipated half an hour, but when I get talking, I'm passionate about it. Yeah, so if you want to visit my place, guys, make sure you allow yourself a couple of hours. We'll have a cup of coffee now and a cup of tea before Greg eats home, and we'll probably chew his ear off more. But at the moment, guys, have a good morning, have a great afternoon, and a terrific evening, guys, wherever you're watching this from, and we'll catch you later.
Thanks very much, Jason.
No worries, Greg. Pleasure having you, mate. Yeah. Anytime, mate. I hope you've learned something. So
yeah, definitely. Great to see you set up here.
Yeah, really like good. It is basic, mate. It does the job, like I said, but this is, you know, one wire. Once you're going to train to that, mate, they aren't going anywhere. Like I said, you seem like they're grazing. Before I turned it on, once I turned it, they were back. They knew when I'm on and when it's off. They're not silly. And like you said, you know, pigs are smarter than the cows. They know when it's on and they know when it's off. So
yeah, they test it.
Yeah. Right, mate, we'll head for that coffee, eh?
Okay.